orbit around the red dwarf star Zenhai, BA 921. The icy moon Icor, and the terrestrial planets Mirabilis, Opera, and Vodum. I'm currently stationed on the surface of the last on that list. I was born in Cascadia on July 13th, 2081. On that day, it had been 55 years, 8 months, and 9 days since a human being had been in space. I was the 204th person to go back, and part of the 6th extrasolar crew. I'm writing to you in the hope that we will not be the last. Icor and Earth. I never knew an Earth that was unaware of life elsewhere. The Cetus probe scooped up bacteria-laden samples from Europa's geysers 29 years before my birth. The first rover photographs of fossil anthropods on Mars arrived while my parents were still in trade school. I don't know what it was like in those lonely years before, when our view of Earth's place in the universe was one of a solitary haven, an oasis in a galactic desert. In some ways, I wish I did. I wish I could have been there the day the first positive results were radioed back from Cetus. I wish I could tell you what it was like to be in one of the old mission controls or research labs or newsrooms, learning in real time with the rest of the planet that our small worldview had been magnificently blown apart. But by the start of my life, just 3 decades later, extraterrestrial life was common knowledge, something every kid took for granted. Humans are nothing if not adaptable. Another wish. That I could tell you I always wanted to be an astronaut. That'd be a much better story, wouldn't it? Some of my colleagues could, and can, claim that. An entire life set in motion by the sight of Saturn's rings through a sidewalk telescope. Or a furious sense of purpose imbued the instant they saw those first fuzzy images of a cloud-flecked blue-green exoplanet. I can claim none of those inspirations as my own. I was 4 when the Tartar Space Telescope photos came back, and I do actually remember being shown them. My mother lifted me onto her lap in front of her tablet. Her voice was hushed with wonder, and she held me tight. "Look, honey," she said. "That's a planet from around a different star. It's got air and oceans just like we have." What I said next is lost to time and the fluff of memory. But what I do recall clearly is utter nonchalance. The picture was boring, and while the factoid that came with it was new and somewhat interesting, I was 4. New and somewhat interesting applied to about 90% of my day, in everything from the development of a scab to a cartoon I'd never seen, to an unexpected flavor of juice at lunch. It's difficult to assign value to discovery when you haven't sorted out the parameters of reality yet. As such, the significance of the first photographic confirmation of a habitable exoplanet was lost on me. I suppose every childhood is one of blind assumptions. My parents had an apartment on the 12th floor of a complex overlooking the Fraser River. That sounds nicer than it was. Urban crush was all I knew, and the closest access I had to nature were the hydroponic planters on our boxy balcony, where my father grew the vegetables we ate for dinner. A hydroponic planter is a far cry from the real outdoors, but it's an ecosystem all the same. I would sit out there for hours in the hot city air, fascinated by the insects that had been likewise drawn to green and growing things. They were a small miracle, those bugs. Tiny, wondrous monsters, completely incongruous with the concrete blocks that surrounded us. Miniature beasts that appeared like magic and belonged in places far wilder than my father's bell pepper crop. There were beetles and bees, spiders and caterpillars. I watched them flit and repel from leaf to leaf. I let them crawl in my palm. I marveled at how something so small had found its way to a location that seemed impossibly high up even for me, the unfathomable giant sharing their space. They had their own dramas, their own goals. They did not need me like a dog or a goldfish might. It was that independence, that complete separation from the human realm, that I loved about them most.